What began as a rally for gay rights in the 1970s has now become a popular celebration of LGBTQ plus rights. Today, July is officially recognized as Pride Month in Vancouver, celebrated with a parade and other events over the August-long weekend. By 1985, the parade, already in its fourth year, was just starting to pick up momentum. Let's take a look back at the Pride's beginnings.
Get the idea? A little outrageous, a lot of put on, a fun celebration by the gay community. There were all sorts of gay men, all sorts. There was a strong lesbian contingent. There were those with a church affiliation. And those whose affiliation was doubtful, calling themselves the Sisters of Misconception. It was a cornucopia of sexual orientation, although difficult to guess about some. The gorilla, however, is presumably gay. And of course there were the onlookers, the professionals, and the amateurs. They marched from Nelson Park down to Sunset Beach.
I think it is especially important that this year's celebration have more people turn up than ever, especially when we read the newspapers and listen to the rest of the media about what is going on in British Columbia and human rights. However, I want to remind you that we don't believe that Gay Pride Week should be a protest, but rather a celebration of our sexuality.
At Sunset Beach, there were prizes for the best costumes, and for today at least, the homosexual community was living up to its label of gay. I'm Mac Rymel.
Joining us for more is Michael Robach. Michael is Director of Development at Qmunity, a Vancouver-based nonprofit that works to improve the lives of queer, trans, and two-spirit people. Michael, thanks for being here. Interesting and entertaining to see the parade's small beginnings 40 years ago. What goes through your mind hearing what was going on then?
Honestly, hearing that makes me feel very bittersweet. I think there's, you can hear so much queer joy, and I think Pride has always been such a celebration for our community to come together and yes, advocate and yes, fight for our rights, but also come together and be seen and be celebrated in a significant way. And that's just, it's such a lovely thing, and it's such a beautiful thing that's been able to be carried forward all these decades, really.
And from those decades, we've seen certainly the parade changed to a celebration. But for the first time this year, we're seeing the Pride organization cutting back on event sizes. The parade route has been halved, essentially. Corporate money is drying up. Why do you think this is happening?
For us at Qmunity, and truth be told, we're not a Pride organization. We exist to deliver frontline, low barrier mental health and social services for queer, trans, two-spirit people all across British Columbia every day of the year. And I think what we're seeing this summer with Pride, for us, doesn't really come as a massive surprise. We've been seeing the clawback of both government and corporate funding around queer and trans programming and services, even starting last year. But also I think the narratives and the understanding of queer trans identities has become very convoluted and misunderstood in recent months, in recent years. And I think it's culminating to sort of a boiling point. And that's what we're seeing now with the Vancouver Pride Festival. I think we're seeing the echo of a lot of these conversations, all of the clawback of this funding. This is the result of that, which has really put us in a difficult situation in which financially operating a festival like Vancouver Pride has been tough, but also the conversation around identity and sexuality just feels very different this year than it has in a long time.
And in that climate, then, why, for you and others, is Pride more, if we can call it this, more important than ever?
I mean, I think it's more important than ever as a vessel for conversation and advocacy, right? I think, and thinking back about early days of Pride and sort of where, since then, we've often had this expression of it gets better. And in a lot of these spaces, unfortunately, it's actually getting worse. We're losing, legal rights within the systems here across Canada, and we're seeing this in Alberta. We're seeing this in other places in Canada, and I think the sort of tension arising from that can be sort of like taken down through education, through awareness, through conversation. And I think it's so important now more than ever for us to continue to hold those conversations and to create a safe space for allies to learn and for queer and trans people to come together and know that they belong here, that there's a space here for them, and that they can feel safe here in British Columbia. They very much deserve to be here, just as much as anyone else, really.
And lastly, we understand Qmunity is getting an upgrade. Tell us about this building you're moving to.
Oh, we're very excited. I mean, we were founded in 1979. We're one of the oldest LGBTQ organizations in Canada, and we've been operating out of a small 3,000 square foot office in Davie Village here in Vancouver. And for the last 30 years, advocates and individuals in community and in government have been working towards a very significant project, which is our move into 13,000 square feet of purpose-built space for queer, trans, and two-spirit people. And that dream is coming to life. In 2027, we will be moving into this new home on the corner of Davie and Burrard. The construction's already underway. We're launching a pretty significant capital campaign to operationalize this space. And it's such a significant moment, not just for us here in Vancouver and in British Columbia, but in Canada, that in times like these, queer and trans people persevere, and there is hope and there is queer joy here, and we're very excited to carry that forward.
Michael Roback, Director of Development at Qmunity, we appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much.